I'm Mark Menghi.
I'm Alex Skolnick. We are from
Metal Allegiance.
And you're watching
Loudwire.
Now, you have the Fallen Heroes EP coming out, where you've got a Motorhead cover, a David Bowie cover, and an Eagles cover, obviously in tribute to our fallen heroes. It's been a particularly brutal year. Cliff Williams just announced that he might be stepping out of AC/DC.
Haven't they had enough issues this year?
Yeah. It keeps getting rougher, but it's nice to see things like Metal Allegiance where you're carrying the spirit and you're carrying the flag. And the way that we make sure that these artists get remembered is that we never stop talking about them. And I think this is very crucial work that you guys are doing. It's more beyond than just a cover band or something like that. It's making sure that all these names stay alive. And Mark, one quote that you gave discussing the EP was that you said, "Lemmy is God, Glenn is king, and David is the architect." Can you expand on that a little bit and what that means to you personally?
Sure. Well, Lemmy's God.
That one's obvious.
Lemmy, he taught me how not to give a shit on what anyone thinks. Especially for me being the unknown in Metal Allegiance. Who is this asshole and what is he doing playing with these guys? It's like fuck you. And Lemmy taught me that. Lemmy taught me how to not give a shit, and that's my greatest inspiration that I got from Lemmy. Obviously, I love Motorhead. I mean, we all love Motorhead. Yeah. If you listen to metal, even remotely like metal, and you don't like Motorhead, there's a problem. But he's God, man. He was the guy. He set the bar, and I believe he set the bar for band, a young Testament, obviously young Metallica, young Dave Mustaine and Megadeth, and I mean, listen to what Motorhead was doing back then, and guys like Alex and Hetfield, and they expanded on that, and he is God. Glenn is king because that guy could write the perfect fucking song. In my opinion, he knows how to write a song. He took himself off of vocal duties. Glenn Frey sang a lot of the early Eagles songs, but then he knew that there were better vocalists in the band than him, and he just
for certain songs.
For certain, so he's like, okay, I'm going to take the step down, but I'm still going to write lyrics and write songs. And for me, the Eagles are one of my top 5 bands of all time. Believe it or not, just because of their songwriting, the musicianship. Randy Meisner is a big bass influence for me, the original bass player from the Eagles, and just listening to the lyrics, Glenn Frey's lyrics, inspired me. I mean, it inspired me as a songwriter, and it actually helped write. By listening to the Eagles, inspired me to not only be a lyricist, but help me move the lyric process along on our debut record. I wrote a lot of those lyrics, and I would always ask myself, how would Glenn approach this? How would he, because all the lyrics in MA songs are personal experiences that I had. Same thing with Eagles songs, personal experiences that Glenn Frey had. So I would always put myself into that mindset. So for me, he's the king of songwriting. And then David Bowie as the architect, he fucking mapped out the blueprints and how to be a rocker, how to be a rock star, how to be diverse with your music and playing in a rock band to a glam band to a pop star to duetting to guesting on people's records to the stage show to the costumes to he
soup to nuts. He had everything.
He drew the map.
Writing for other people.
Yeah.
Iggy Pop. Iggy credits him with rescuing his career, basically.
Yeah, he drew the map, man, and he's the architect. It's funny, Portnoy, when we were in the studio tracking, he's like, how this EP came about is when Glenn Frey passed away, Portnoy actually called me. He's like, dude, Glenn Frey did you hear this? I'm like, what? And literally it was that evening, and I was like, oh man. I was like, we learned on stage just a few weeks ago that Bowie passed in mid-set, then we just played Lemmy's memorial. It was just a 20-day window of like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
man?
and unfortunately, as we were mixing this, Prince was still alive.
Yeah.
I'm sure we would have
done a Prince song.
Worked him in there too.
Yeah, but and Mike's like, all of our heroes have, how do you put it? All of our heroes have fell or just the way he said it. And he's like, man, our fallen heroes. And I was like,
That's it.
there you go. And Mike right on the spot, and he's great like that. And that's how we came up with the name Fallen Heroes. And literally that night though, when Mike called me, I processed it, and and it was 2 years to the day where I actually saw the Eagles at the Forum in Hollywood, which was kind of surreal. It was exactly 2 years. But I called up Mike back that night, and I was like, dude, do you want to record an Eagles song, a Bowie's tune, and a Motorhead song? He's like, absolutely. How about tomorrow? No joke. We were in the studio the next day.
Yeah, it happened.
Tracked all his drums. The day after that, I did all the bass. He came in, did all the guitar. We were done within a week.
Now, I'm sure you had kind of like a pretty raw energy from this, because this is this is kind of steamrolling, and for us as fans, it's brutal. But I mean, for you guys, like knowing these artists personally and being friends with them for the last however many years, I mean, it's got to be particularly rough. So, what was the energy like going into the studio? I mean, there had to be a myriad of emotions, like exciting that you're going to pay tribute, but at the same time, it's almost like, hey, I wish we didn't have to pay tribute right now.
Oh, definitely. Well, I think with the Motorhead segment, we had played on the day of Lemmy's memorial, and they had actually made us part of the memorial. And Mickey D spoke, and all kinds of people came to the show. Guys like Dave Grohl, and I
Drank all of our beer in our dressing room. Dave
I heard Danzig was there. I didn't see him, but I heard.
Yeah, during Creeping Death, dude. I remember us playing, and I'm like,
Is that Danzig?
Yeah. And then right next to him was Triple H.
Wow.
Glenn's in Triple H.
Yeah.
Like this. Was like,
Yeah. So it was packed. So they had the service at the Rainbow. We played the whiskey, and ours was sort of like the celebration portion of it. So we were still high from that.
Then the next night is when Bowie passed.
And then the next night is when we heard about Bowie. Yeah, because we had we were in the midst of this West Coast tour, and we were in San Francisco. And
on
stage.
Yeah,
and
on stage, and you found out.
That was crazy. So then once we got back, it was kind of nuts because we had to squeeze it in. I think Portnoy was about to take off with Winery Dogs or Twisted.
One of 8 other bands.
Yeah, I had this Slayer Testament tour coming up, and a tour with my instrumental band. So we designated this time, and that and we didn't even know who all the vocalists were going to be.
We had no idea who was going to sing.
Who's going to sing what? It's just okay. This has to happen.
We're
somehow.
free now. Let's get it done right now.
Yeah, let's just do the music.